So that is one of the
You ready?
most efficient ways to.
Okay, well, Dr. Chopra, I'm sure you're well aware that earlier this week the World Health Organization talked about burnout and
Yes.
defining it as a syndrome
Mhm.
when it comes to being overworked and not managing stress at work. And I want to begin by asking you, in this fast-paced environment when we're always working, even when we're not at work, how do we slow down long enough to evaluate where we are as it relates to stress or even worse, burnout?
Yeah, stress is defined as the perception of threat. I use those words very carefully, the perception of threat. So, stress is not out there in the world, and stress is not in you. Stress is your interaction with the world and how you relate to it and how you perceive it. So, if you focus on having a joyful, energetic body, love and compassion in your heart, clear, reflective, alert mind, quiet mind, and lightness of being, then there's no need for stress at all. So I don't relate to the concept of stress at all. Having said that, it is the number one epidemic of our civilization. And that is because we've been bamboozled into a false idea of success. So most people think success is making money and then making money to make money, and on and on. And actually, most people who make a lot of money don't even enjoy it. They don't have the time to
Exactly.
enjoy it. So they're always thinking in the future, and when the future arrives, they're still not present for the future. Of course, there are many ways to tackle stress. Go see a good movie that makes you laugh, get a massage, do some mindfulness and meditation, take a breathing break, do yoga. There are many ways to not succumb to this terrible epidemic. Talking about burnout, the highest rate of burnout is in the medical profession, among psychiatrists, nurses, people who are healthcare providers. So how do you expect them to take care of you if they're burnt out themselves?
One thing I realized too in my own life and just living is that when people get stressed and burnt out, they kind of go within. When people, we need each other. And I think now we're in an age where technology, in a sense, we're more connected than ever, but more distant from one another. So, how do we bridge that gap as we move in this high stress for some environment?
Yeah, technology is neutral. It's how we use it that's important. So technology is neither good nor bad. It's just something you use. If you allow it to use you, then you're being victimized by it. I personally think you should schedule technology, just like you schedule eating time, sleeping time, being with people, engaging with people. What you say is true. Loneliness and feeling alone and isolated and lack of social engagement is probably the number one cause of accelerated aging, even Alzheimer's and things. Loneliness is a big issue and leads to depression, which is also prelude to many other chronic illnesses where you have low-grade inflammation in the body. So stress is the common factor in all these things, and we need to address it as an epidemic.
Right. I love what you said about staying present
Yes.
and not worrying just about the future, but also not being stuck in the past. You know, what could you say to people to get them to stay present? That's really hard to do.
Well, I say every once in a while during the day, press the pause button in your life and just ask yourself, am I here? Am I present? Just that reminder, that question, am I present, will bring you to the moment. Or stop everything and for a moment just observe your breath. Your breath is always in the present, right? It's never in the past or the future. Or feel the sensations in your body. They're also always in the present. It's your mind that navigates the past, which isn't here, and also imagines the future, which isn't here. And if you're not here right now, you'll never be here when the future arrives.
Wow. So you're worrying about a day you may never see, essentially, if you keep
We live,
that up.
breathe, and move in this presence. In fact, the best word for presence is spirit. If there was one word, it's who we are. We are human beings, not human doings.
And lastly, we're here at Hope Global Forum. I know you're excited to be here as well. And I find it beautiful to walk through this hotel and see people of all races, nationalities, and persuasions here. Can you talk about how we need to create this environment in all of our spaces as much as we can, and why that's important to do so?
I was inspired to come here by my meeting John Bryant, who is an extraordinary human being, and what he's done with this Hope Festival, if I may call it, is extraordinary. When you have people from diverse backgrounds, but you have a shared vision, and you have some kind of emotional and spiritual connection, then magic happens, and that's what is happening here.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add,
No,
Dr. Chopra?
I'm good.
Okay, I think we got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love your podcast, by the way.